There is a trick so dark, so devastatingly effective, that the moment you master it, you become untouchable. It is not taught in schools. It is not whispered in churches. It lives in the shadows where powerful men have always operated. And tonight, I am going to hand it to you. This is not motivation. This is not feel-good philosophy. This is cold, calculated truth. The kind that burns when you first hear it. The kind that changes you forever once you accept it. Most people spend their entire lives chasing approval, chasing love, chasing validation from people who were never going to give it freely. They beg, they plead, they stay in rooms where they are barely tolerated, and then they wonder why they feel powerless. You are here because you sense something different. You are here because deep down you know there is another way, a darker way, a stronger way. And Niccolo Machiavelli understood it better than most. The man who can walk away holds the power, not the man who stays and argues, not the man who explains himself, not the man who keeps trying to prove his worth to people who benefit from pretending not to see it. The one who can turn his back and disappear without begging, without collapsing, without looking back, is the one who changes the game. By the end of this, you will understand why. You will see relationships differently, respect differently, power differently. And once you see it, you will never unsee it again, because this is not just a trick. It is a law of human nature so brutal, so reliable that it has shaped empires, broken hearts, built kings, and destroyed fools. Most people mistake convenience for loyalty. That is their first mistake. What they call loyalty is often just comfort, familiarity, utility. You are useful, so they keep you around. You are predictable, so they do not have to work for your presence. You are available, so they never have to fear losing you. That is not loyalty. That is convenience wearing a mask. And until you understand that, you will keep giving your energy to people who do not truly value you. You were taught that loyalty means staying, enduring, proving yourself, holding on even when you are being slowly diminished. You were taught that leaving makes you weak, that if you walk away, you failed, that if you stop explaining, stop pleading, stop sacrificing, then somehow you are the problem. That is the lie. Real power has never belonged to the one who stays out of fear. It belongs to the one who can leave without fear. Machiavelli knew that people rarely value what they can always access. They value what can be withdrawn. They respect what is willing to disappear. They become obsessed with what no longer belongs to them. That is why walking away is so powerful. It creates contrast. It creates absence. And absence, when used correctly, is one of the most psychologically violent forces in the world. Because your absence forces people to feel what your presence protected them from. When you're always there, people relax. They assume. They take liberties. They stop noticing your value because they believe they own your access. But the moment you withdraw, something changes. Suddenly, they feel the gap. Suddenly, the silence becomes heavy. Suddenly, the certainty they once had is gone. And that is when your value becomes visible. Most men never learn this because they are addicted to being needed. They would rather be tolerated than be alone. They would rather keep a weak connection than face the pain of letting it die. So they stay too long. They over-explain. They negotiate with disrespect. They trade dignity for proximity. And then they wonder why no one truly respects them. You cannot be respected by people who know you will stay no matter how they treat you. That is not respect. That is ownership. The darker truth is this: people become careless with what feels guaranteed. That includes your time, your loyalty, your attention, your energy, your emotional availability. The more freely you hand it out, the less carefully people hold it. But the moment access to you is no longer cheap, the whole dynamic changes. Now they have to think. Now they have to calculate. Now they have to feel the possibility that you may not be there tomorrow. And fear of loss awakens where comfort once lived. This is where detachment becomes a weapon. Not cruelty, not bitterness, not coldness for the sake of performance. Detachment is self-command. It is the ability to remain emotionally unhooked from outcomes that once controlled you. It is the discipline of not needing other people to validate your worth. It is the refusal to let your peace depend on someone else's behavior. When you become detached, you stop being easy to manipulate. You stop reacting to every slight. You stop trying to correct every misunderstanding. You stop performing for people who already made up their minds about you. And in that stillness, you become dangerous. Because now people cannot read you as easily. They cannot predict you. They cannot bait you with the same old triggers. They cannot control a man who no longer needs anything from them. That is why emotional detachment is power in its purest form. Not because you stop feeling, but because your feelings stop owning you. You still see. You still understand. You still feel the weight of disrespect, betrayal, indifference. But you no longer break open in public. You no longer hand your inner world to people who have not earned the right to touch it. You become measured. You become disciplined. You become difficult to move. And that changes everything. Think about the people who left the deepest mark on your life. It was rarely the one who gave you endless access. Rarely the one who made themselves too available. Rarely the one who explained every move. It was usually the one who pulled back. The one who left without begging. The one whose silence made you think. The one whose absence forced you to confront what their presence had been worth. That is not an accident. That is human psychology. Scarcity creates value. Distance creates perspective. Silence creates tension. And the man who understands all three can change the emotional climate of any room simply by choosing not to enter it. That is why the most powerful men are rarely the loudest men. They do not need to dominate every conversation. They do not need to react to every insult. They do not need to be seen everywhere, heard by everyone, understood by all. They know something deeper. Presence is powerful, but controlled absence is often even more powerful. Machiavelli watched powerful men destroy themselves, not through weakness, but through overexposure. They stayed too long. They talked too much. They revealed their hand when silence would have won the war. In The Prince, he wrote about fear and love, about cruelty and kindness, about the masks a ruler must wear. But buried beneath those lessons is a truth most readers miss entirely. The greatest power is knowing when to disappear. You cannot play the long game if your emotions hijack you in the short term. You cannot outmaneuver your enemies if they can read your face. Detachment is not the absence of feeling, it is the mastery of it. And mastery is what separates kings from peasants. Machiavelli watched powerful men destroy themselves, not through weakness, but through presence. They stayed too long. They talked too much. They revealed their hands when silence would have won the war. In The Prince, he wrote about fear and love, about cruelty and kindness, about the masks a ruler must wear. But buried beneath those pages is a lesson most readers miss entirely. The greatest power is knowing when to disappear. Machiavelli studied Cesare Borgia, a man who conquered through boldness, but also a man who understood the weapon of withdrawal. When Borgia wanted loyalty, he did not beg for it. He created uncertainty. He made men wonder where they stood, and in that uncertainty, they worked harder to prove themselves. This is the hidden architecture of control. You do not chase. You create a vacuum. You do not demand respect. You become so valuable that disrespect costs more than they can afford. The weak ruler sits on his throne and waits for rebellion. The Machiavellian ruler moves like smoke, sometimes present, sometimes gone, never predictable, never fully understood. There is a reason kings throughout history kept their distance from common men. Familiarity breeds contempt. Availability destroys mystique. The more they see you, the less they value you. Machiavelli knew this. He watched men lose empires because they could not resist the need to be seen, to be heard, to be validated. Do not make their mistake. Learn to vanish at the height of your presence. Leave rooms while they still want more. End conversations before they grow stale. Exit relationships before you become furniture. This is not game playing. This is strategic mastery. The same mastery that built dynasties and crushed enemies without a single sword being drawn. Disappearance is a weapon. Learn to wield it. When you leave, when you walk away, say nothing. This is the part most men fail. They leave, but they cannot resist the urge to explain, to justify, to deliver one final speech that makes them feel righteous. And in that moment, they surrender every ounce of power they had. Silence is violence to the ego of those who wronged you. They expect a reaction. They prepare for your anger. They have rehearsed their defense against your words. But when you give them nothing, you leave them standing in a courtroom with no trial, no closure, no peace. This is psychological warfare at its finest. The human mind cannot tolerate open loops. We are wired to seek resolution. And when you deny someone that resolution, you take up permanent residence in their thoughts. They will replay every moment. They will analyze every interaction. They will wonder what you are thinking, what you are planning, what you know that they do not. Your silence becomes louder than any scream. It echoes in the spaces where your words should have been. It haunts them in the quiet hours of the night. And the most devastating part is this: they cannot fight it. There is no argument to counter, no statement to dissect, just empty space where you used to be. Most men talk because they are afraid of being misunderstood. The powerful man does not care if he is misunderstood. He knows that mystery is more valuable than clarity. He knows that explanations are for the weak. When you leave without a word, you send a message that cuts deeper than any insult. You are saying they are not worth the effort. You are saying their actions require no response. You are saying you have already moved beyond them, and that is a wound that never fully heals. There is a law written into the fabric of human nature. We do not value what we have. We obsess over what we have lost. This is not a flaw to be corrected. This is a lever to be pulled. The moment you walk away, you trigger something primal in the human psyche: scarcity, the fear of loss, the desperate need to reclaim what is slipping through their fingers. You become rare, and rare things are never ignored. Think about how markets work. Diamonds are not valuable because they are beautiful. They are valuable because they are controlled, limited, kept out of reach. The same psychology applies to you. When you are always available, always present, always ready to give more, you become common, and common things are treated as disposable. But the moment you pull back, the equation changes. Suddenly they realize what they had. Suddenly they start counting the cost of losing you. This is not about playing games. This is about understanding the machinery of human desire. People do not chase what stands still. They chase what moves away. They want what they cannot easily have. They obsess over the one who is not obsessed with them. You have seen this your entire life. The person who cared less held the power. The one who could walk away controlled the relationship. The one who needed nothing was the one everyone needed. This is dark psychology in its purest application. When you remove yourself, you create a void. And nature despises a void. They will try to fill it. They will reach out. Suddenly, they will remember your value. They will offer what they should have offered when you were still there. But here is where most men fail. They come back too soon. They accept the first apology. They return before the lesson is learned. Do not make this mistake. Let them sit in the absence. Let them feel the full weight of your disappearance. Let the void grow until they understand that losing you is a cost they cannot afford to pay again. The man who walks away and stays gone becomes legend. He becomes the story they tell themselves for years. He becomes the wound that never closes, the question that never gets answered. They will chase you. That is guaranteed. The only question is whether you will be strong enough to keep walking. Any fool can burn a bridge in anger. He can scream. He can curse. He can set fire to everything and walk away with smoke in his lungs and rage in his heart. But that is not power. That is chaos. The Machiavellian man burns bridges differently. He does it with elegance, with precision, with a coldness that leaves no fingerprints. When he is done, they are not even sure what happened. They only know that the path back to him no longer exists. This is the difference between emotional reaction and strategic execution. When you leave in anger, you give them a story to tell. You become the villain. You become the one who lost control. They will use your reaction to justify their behavior. They will paint you as unstable. They will sleep peacefully knowing they pushed you to your breaking point. But when you leave with grace, you rob them of that narrative. You give them nothing to hold on to. No outburst to reference. No harsh words to repeat. Just a calm, deliberate exit that leaves them questioning everything. This is how you burn a bridge and still walk away looking like a king. You do not announce your departure. You simply become less available, less responsive, less invested. You let the connection wither naturally while you build your next chapter in silence. By the time they realize you are gone, you are already miles ahead. There is immense power in controlling the ending of any chapter in your life. Most people let circumstances dictate their exits. They stay until they are pushed out. They wait until the pain becomes unbearable. They give others the power to decide when it is over. Not you. You choose when the story ends. You write the final sentence. And you close the book with your own hands. When you burn a bridge with grace, you also preserve something invaluable, your reputation. The world is smaller than you think. People talk. Industries overlap. The enemy of today may be the gatekeeper of tomorrow. This does not mean you tolerate disrespect. It means you handle your exits with surgical precision. You leave them with nothing to use against you. No screenshots of rage. No witnesses to your breakdown. Just a quiet disappearance that makes them wonder if they ever really knew you at all. And here is the final layer of this dark art. When you burn a bridge gracefully, you leave a door open that only you can see. They think it is over. They believe the path is destroyed. But you know the truth. You can rebuild anything you choose to rebuild on your terms, in your time. If you ever decide they are worthy again, that is power. Not the loud, destructive kind. The silent, architectural kind. The kind that builds empires while others are still playing with matches. There is a level of existence most men will never reach. A state where insults do not land. Where betrayal does not break you. Where loss does not destroy you. This is what it means to be untouchable. And this is exactly where you are headed. Being untouchable is not about building walls so high that nothing gets in. It is about building a self so solid that nothing can shake it. Walls can be climbed. Walls can be broken. But a fortress built inside the soul is indestructible. Most men are controlled by external forces. They rise when praised. They crumble when criticized. They swell with validation and collapse without it. Their entire identity is a puppet on strings held by other people. The untouchable man cuts those strings one by one. He sources his worth from within. He validates himself. He does not need applause to know he performed well. He does not need agreement to know he is right. This is psychological sovereignty, the complete ownership of your inner world. And when you reach this state, manipulation becomes impossible. They cannot bribe you with what you do not need. They cannot threaten you with what you do not fear. They cannot control you with emotions you have already mastered. Think about what makes you vulnerable right now. Is it the need to be liked? The fear of being alone? The addiction to approval from people who do not matter? Each of these is a chain, and chains are meant to be broken. The Machiavellian man audits his weaknesses constantly. He asks himself hard questions. What do I need from others that I should be giving myself? What fears are driving my decisions? What attachments are keeping me in rooms I should have left long ago? He answers honestly, and then he gets to work. Becoming untouchable requires a brutal kind of honesty. You must see yourself as you truly are, not as you wish to be, not as others see you. The raw, unfiltered truth. Only from that place can you begin to rebuild. You must learn to sit in discomfort without running, to face rejection without crumbling, to experience loss without losing yourself. Each time you survive what you thought would destroy you, you add another layer of armor, real armor, the kind that cannot be seen but can always be felt. The untouchable man walks differently. He speaks differently. He carries a quiet certainty that unnerves those who rely on manipulation. They sense that their usual tactics will not work on him. They feel the walls of his frame and know they cannot be breached. This is not arrogance. This is alignment. This is a man who has done the inner work and emerged unshakable. People will test you. They always do. They will probe for weakness. They will search for cracks. And when they find none, they will either respect you or avoid you. Both outcomes serve you. This is the path you are now walking. With every lesson, you become harder to manipulate. With every exit, you become harder to replace. With every silence, you become harder to forget. Untouchable is not a destination. It is a daily practice. And you have already begun the transformation. You are not the same person who started listening to this. Something has shifted. Something has cracked open inside you. The old version of you is dying. And that is exactly what needs to happen. Transformation is not comfortable. It is not gentle. It is a violent shedding of everything you thought you were supposed to be. It is the death of the man who begged, the burial of the man who stayed too long, the funeral of the man who needed permission to be powerful. That man served his purpose. He got you here, but he cannot take you where you are going. The version of you that emerges from this is colder, not cruel. Cold. There is a critical difference. Cruelty seeks to harm. Coldness simply refuses to be harmed. The transformed man does not wish pain on others. He simply refuses to absorb their pain anymore. He does not seek revenge. He seeks elevation. He does not hate his enemies. He simply removes them from his world without ceremony. This is the Machiavellian rebirth. A man who operates from strategy, not emotion. A man who sees the chessboard while others only see the pieces. A man who moves with patience because he knows the game is long and the rewards go to those who can wait. You will notice changes in how people treat you. They will sense that something is different. Your words will carry more weight because you use fewer of them. Your presence will command more attention because you no longer beg for it. Your absence will create more impact because they know it is intentional. The old you would have explained yourself. The new you lets them wander. The old you would have chased. The new you lets them come to you. The old you feared being alone. The new you knows that solitude is where power is forged. This transformation is not just psychological, it is physical. You will stand taller. You will breathe deeper. You will move slower because you are no longer anxious for anyone's approval. Rushed movements belong to desperate men. You are no longer desperate. You will lose people in this process. That is guaranteed. Some will not recognize the man you are becoming. Some will resent him. Some will try to pull you back toward the old version of you because that version was easier to control. Let them go. Anyone who cannot handle your evolution does not deserve a seat in your future. The transformed man travels light. He carries no dead weight. He builds his circle with precision, choosing only those who add value and removing those who drain it without mercy. This is your rebirth, not into arrogance, but into sovereignty, not into cruelty, but into clarity, not into isolation, but into intentional connection. You are becoming the man that others will study, the man they will wonder about, the man they will tell stories about long after he has left the room. The caterpillar does not negotiate with the cocoon. It surrenders to the process and emerges with wings. Your wings are growing, and soon you will move in ways the old you could never have imagined. Now hear the final command. You have made it to the end, but this is not really an ending. This is a doorway, a threshold you are about to cross. And once you step through it, there is no going back. The knowledge you now possess is not ordinary. It is the kind of understanding that separates the powerful from the powerless, the hunters from the hunted, the remembered from the forgotten. You now know the dark trick. You understand that walking away is not weakness. It is the ultimate demonstration of strength. It is the move that resets every dynamic in your favor. It is the weapon that requires no violence, yet cuts deeper than any blade. Most men will live their entire lives without ever understanding this. They will stay in jobs that drain them. They will remain in relationships that diminish them. They will tolerate friendships that disrespect them. And they will keep wondering why they feel so powerless. But not you. You have been given the blueprint. You have seen behind the curtain. You understand the psychology that governs human behavior. You know how to create value through absence. You know how to command respect through silence. You know how to become untouchable by mastering your own emotions. So now the question is simple. What will you do with this knowledge? Will you let it sit idle in your mind? Another interesting idea that fades with time? Or will you apply it? Will you walk away from the situation that has been draining you? Will you stop explaining yourself to people who do not deserve explanations? Will you finally become the man who needs nothing and therefore controls everything? This is your moment of decision. Not tomorrow, not next week, right now. The universe rewards action. It ignores intention. You can intend to change for the rest of your life and still die exactly where you started. Or you can move today, this hour, this minute. Let me tell you what happens next for the man who applies these lessons. He becomes magnetic, not because he chases, but because he repels what does not serve him. He attracts quality because he refuses to tolerate mediocrity. He builds an empire because he no longer wastes energy on things that do not compound. His relationships improve because he only keeps people who rise to meet his standard. His career accelerates because he is no longer afraid to leave tables where he is not valued. His peace deepens because he has removed the chaos creators from his life. This is not fantasy. This is the direct result of mastering the art of walking away. The man who can leave is the man who can never be trapped, and the man who can never be trapped is the man who is truly free. Freedom is not given. It is taken by those bold enough to claim it, by those strong enough to walk away from everything that threatens it, by those wise enough to understand that absence is the most powerful form of presence. You are now one of those men. Act like it. Move like it. Decide like it. Let every choice you make from this moment forward be filtered through one question. Does this serve my power or diminish it? If it diminishes it, walk away. No hesitation. No explanation. No looking back. Now I have a command for you. If this message has ignited something inside you, I want you to leave a comment below. Type these words. I walk away stronger. That is your declaration. Your line in the sand. Your commitment to the new version of yourself. When you type those words, you are not just commenting on a video. You are programming your subconscious. You are telling the universe that you are no longer the man who stays where he is not valued. You are the man who walks away stronger every single time. And if this message has served you, do one more thing. Hit the like button. It costs you nothing, but it tells the algorithm to share this with other men who need to hear it. Men who are stuck. Men who are settling. Men who have forgotten their power. Your single click could change a life. Subscribe to this channel if you have not already. We are building something here. A community of men who refuse to be ordinary, who refuse to be controlled, who refuse to live small lives dictated by other people's expectations. Turn on notifications so you never miss a message. The game is long, and I am just getting started. I will see you in the next one. Now go. Walk away from what no longer serves you, and never look back.